Hello everyone and welcome back to Revit Snippets. Great tips you can learn in just a few minutes. Today's video is brought to you by CAD File Explorer, the easiest way to see, manage, and clean up AutoCAD files in Revit. Get your free copy today by following the link in this video description. Let's see today how we can use Revit and Dynamo to recreate this very colorful and exciting facade pattern. This is from a building in London, where you have glazing panels in between of louvers, and these louvers have really nice color variation, making this facade looking so dynamic. As you can see here, I have created the same in Revit as a fully parametric model. If I go to Dynamo now and run the script again, every time you run it like this, it will give you a new color variation for all panels in the project. So you can keep testing like that and choose a pattern that you like the most. Of course, these panels are parametric as well. If I go to the curtain wall now, go to edit type, you can be free to change the curtain wall spacing. So if I want to have a panel every 1 meter, I can do so very quickly. Just like this. And then when we return to Dynamo, run the script one more time, it's going to give the same randomized color pattern again to all the panels we have. Very nice. You can download this script from the video description, or if you have some time now, let me show you how to create everything here from scratch. By the way, if you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe now, because we do tutorials like this every single week. Okay, let's begin. We can start now by making a new project. And in here, let's just draw a very simple curtain wall now. So maybe going this way by about 30 meters, like this. Let's go to 3D and make that a curtain wall now. For the grid spacing, let's go to here, edit types, and make sure we have a panel every 1 meter and a horizontal grid line every 3.5 meters. If I make this wall now 14 meters, we have 4 levels like this. Alright, the next step is to create the curtain panel family. Simply go to File, New, choose Family there. And for the template, let's go for curtain panel, metric. In here, we firstly go to the exterior view, and now I want to divide this panel into 2 parts, the glazing section and the louver section. So let's drop in here a new reference plane. Let's say the louver section will be on this side, and it's going to fill this rectangle there. To make the louver, however, we need to do a second family now. So choose new family again. And this time we can go for generic model, like this. In here I can go to front and just make a quick extrusion like this, going from the origin point up to here. To control its dimensions, let's put in here 2 reference planes. And let's say this one to here will be the louver height. So let's create this as a parameter now. Call this height simply enough and choose OK. For the width, I can do the same now, just the parameter name should be different. And now we can align this to there, lock it, align this to here, and lock this face as well. Now let's try to flex these dimensions. For the height, I can try 3500, and the width, how about 500. And don't forget, the main part of today's tutorial is to do with materials. So let's put in here a new material parameter, just like that. Save the family now. Call this one louver unit. And I can load this to the panel family 1 there. Now to place it, we should return to the reference level. And here, if you choose Create Component, you'll be able to place it. At this point, however, I can see the panel is super thick, so let's return there to fix it. We can try to set this to be -25, and this one 25. That gives the louver unit a total thickness of 50, just like we need. Save it and load it back to here. Okay, and now if I try to place it there, it looks correct in plan view. However, if you look at the reference photo, these louvers, they are not just perpendicular to the glazing. If I look into here, they form sort of a triangle for each glazed panel. So that's what we try to do now. Let's go to Create again, choose Reference Plane, and I want to divide this bay now, the bay I plan to use for louvers, into 2. Before making that into an equality dimension, I can choose to make this overall width to be the louver width. So call this one louver width now. Make it instance. And for the next step, I can put in here a reference line. From this intersection going up. Let's say we want this angle to be 60 degrees, so I'll put it there. Let's do another line from this point, going in the opposite direction, but at the same angle. Next step, I can now make a dimension between those planes and lines. Let's do an angle dimension this time. So one from here to there, one from here to here. Gets a bit busy now, so let's change the view scale to 1:5. This angle, I can now lock it, and this one as well, we can lock it. Now, if the panel changes in width, you can see things are not flexing properly. If I undo this, click here, and lock this dimension, we can now try again. As you can see there, the louver unit moves with how big or small the panel will get, just like we need it. This plane here, actually I don't need it, so I'll remove it now. Next step, we can now try to place our panel or louver unit into here. Firstly, let's go to Create and set the reference plane to be this plane here along this line. I can then go to Extrusion, actually Component, and here actually we forgot something as well in the louver unit family. Let's go to here, go to Category, and make this a workplane based component. Save it there, load it back. And now we can actually place it on the workplane, which has been set to be this one. We can put my mouse over here and press Tab. That should align the panel to the direction of the line. Click it here to place it. Let's do the same now for this line. So we need to firstly set the workplane again. From there, let's change it to be something here. And then go to Component again, place on workplane. Snap, press Tab to rotate it, and place it here. Looking good now. If I now move the panel to make it wider or smaller, you can see these two louvers, they will always maintain the same distance. We can now create the glazing section of the panel now. Let's go to Create, Extrusion, pick this line, lock it there, make an offset. Maybe we can try a 35mm thick panel. Pick this plane and this plane as well. And now it's just simply trimming the lines to make a closed loop. Before we leave the sketch mode, however, let's put here a dimension like that and lock it so the panel won't get too thick. Finished it, and this is our glazed panel. It should span the entire height of the panel, so I'll take it there. Lock it as well. In here I also recognize we need to change the height of these two, so let's put in here another dimension like this. So this one will always report the total height of the panel, so let's make it into a parameter now, call it panel height. Make it instance and make it reporting. Next step, I can select here, go to edit type, and apply that panel height parameter to this louver height. So set it to be the same parameter there, do OK. And you can see now, if I move this plane up or down, these louver units will always follow how high the panel should be. Almost done with the panel now. We just have to make a solid panel here, because behind the glazing, we also want to have something, not just a hole in the facade. Go to create, extrusion again. And this time, similar to the bigger panel there, we can also do pick lines and then offset line by the same amount. Moving on, we can just trim them. Same old process. And of course, it needs also a dimension here to make sure the panel thickness doesn't change. Click finish now, go to exterior, drag it up, and lock it there. You may have to zoom in slightly to be able to click on that padlock. Anyway, in 3D, that looks more or less complete. In shaded mode though, I want to have some materiality, so let's get these two panes there. Go to subcategory and change this to be glass. Now it's blue and it's transparent. We can now go to these two, go to edit type, and now we need to create a new parameter to control the materials. Let's call this one Louver 1 and make it instance. We can now save this family now as Louver panel. Next step, we can now load this into the project now. Project number 1 that is. And then simply select this curtain wall, go to edit type, and change the default panel type to be Louver panel. Right there. Here we go. Even though the panel is flipped, we need to press space now, and the whole wall will flip. That means our panel will now be pointing at the right direction. The glazing section is a bit narrow, so we may have to change something here. Let's make it wider. Let's go to edit type and change the vertical grid layout to 1500. Here we are. Looking great already. Let's try to change one thing because this is important for today. Select this panel here, go to properties, and you can see there's a material parameter. If I go to here now, and how about we create a new parameter? Let's go to here, make new parameter, and call this Louver 1. Go to appearance, I cannot change this color now to maybe orange. And then under graphics, use the same color there for shading. As you can see right now, we can change this material for just one panel. If I go to here now, the second panel next to it, and go to materials again, I can just duplicate this material and call it Louver 2, and then maybe go to here, changes color to blue now. Click OK. And that had changed both, because I forgot one thing. If I go to Manage, Materials, this is a common mistake, so I'm glad we see it now, so I can show you how to fix it. Louver 1 and Louver 2, even though they are different materials, at the moment they are sharing the same asset. If you go under Information, the asset is now generic number 10. This one is using the same one. To make Louver 1 different from Louver 2 in terms of color, we need to go to one of them, in this case Louver 1, and click on this Duplicate Asset button. It is now renamed to Generic 11, so I can now be free to change its color like this. And this time, Louver 1 and Louver 2, they are now retaining their individual unique material colors. And because of that, it is now ready for me to give all of these panels random materials in Dynamo. Actually, there may be one more step we need to do before that. If we go back to the reference image now, as you can see, they have quite big horizontal members between the louvers, probably a divider between different floors. Let's do the same here. If I select the wall now, let's just have it going from level 0 to level 1. And maybe increase the horizontal grid spacing to 4 meters. Just so we have here just one row of panel. I can now go to the south elevation and then make some additional levels. So simply copy level 1 up a few times with multiples selected. How about we go for 5 floors like this. We go back to level 0 now. I can now simply create a floor. So architecture under floor. Let's make a quick one here. Maybe going like this. And then the rest will be free form. Just like that. Click on finish. And this floor is now super thick, I suppose. But it's fine for now. Let's now copy it to the upper levels. From 1 to 5. I can now select this curtain wall there. Right click on it and choose Create Similar. We can now select these lines and click once to make new walls. Just like this. The floor itself, let's see how thick it is. That's a bit too thick. Let's switch it to something simpler, like that. And for the rest of floors, we can do the same. So, for this new floor type, the overall thickness is 247. How about we make it into 300? Just to make it simple, you can of course play with these floor types and floor build-ups yourself, according to what your project needs. For now, I can get all these walls and make sure the upper top offset is minus 300. So now it's going to stay within the floors nicely. And press space now. So our wall will be flipped to show the louvers on the outside. Anyway, according to the reference photo, they need to step back to show the floor edge. Let's do it now. Go to level 0. With them still selected, I can now isolate them. And use the offset command with a value of maybe 700 without copying. I can now press tab now and click to offset them. Go to 3D, and that's more or less what we need for this stage. Next step, I can now go to here, press tab until the whole line of walls light up, and copy and paste them to the upper levels, 1 to 5. It may take a while depending on your computer speed, but for me that wasn't too bad. I however recognize we don't need these walls on the top floor, so tab select again and delete them. Okay, it's now ready for us to turn these boring gray panels into very much more interesting colorful ones in Dynamo. Let's go to Manage now and open Dynamo. Okay, let's get some fun here with Dynamo now. Firstly, let's make sure we can see our panels properly. I can put them into a view like this. Next step, go to here, click New, and let's begin our Dynamo definition. Don't forget though to change the view mode to manual. We don't want Revit to crash randomly. So the first step is of course, just like with my other Dynamo tutorials, we need to collect the elements we want to change. So in this case, I can right click there, search for family types. And from here, just select the panel family we created. I think that's called Louver panel. Yes, this one there. Next step, we can put in here all elements off family type. This one there. Not sure why you have to scroll down once you have put in a full name, but that's how Dynamo works at the moment. Connect this to here now and run this. You can see right away we have just over 800 panels coming back. Next step, we need to get the materials that we want to give these panels. To do so, we can simply specify materials by names. So I have here now a new string node. And let's call this one Louver 1. Keep in mind, this name here needs to exactly match the name that you have for the material. So if you are unsure, make sure you go to Material and check that this name exactly matches that one, or the other way around. Anyway, we're good to go with this name, so I can now Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V this node, and use the second name here, Louver 2. Next step, we need to put these names into a list, so let me do list.create. Give it a second input node now, and connect these two to these ports. Press run now and you can see they will now be in the same list of text. Next step, we can go and use material dot by name. This not simply collect from the model the Revit materials using any name we specify here. The names we have already, so let's put them into here now and run this. So quickly now we have got our two materials there ready to be used. The next step is to make sure we have enough materials to assign to these panels here. As it stands right now, we have only 2 materials, but close to 900 panels to give them to. That's not going to work. We need to duplicate the number of materials here first. To do that, I can use list.cycle. So this node here, it will take a list of values and then cycle or repeat the list by the amount you can define here. The amount we can get from this list of panels. So we can do list.count. Plug it to there, run this, and of course we have 865 coming back as a number. I can now go to here and connect this count value to the amount port and run this. As you can see, we have now a lot more materials because we are copying this list of 2 values by this number of times, and that gives us just over 1700 materials. That looks a bit much, but there are actually just the same materials here repeated over and over again. So you have that one, the same as this one, the same as that one, and so on. Next step, we need to shuffle this list so that when we apply these materials to these panels, the effect will be more interesting. Let's do list.shuffle now and plug this to here. Run this now and you can see it's the same number of items, but here they are in random orders. It's now the perfect time to assign these to these panels. So we can do elements dot set parameter by name. The elements obviously will be our panels there. The value will be those coming out from this list. And the parameter name, let's check what it is. Going back to Revit, I can open the properties panel now and just select one random panel in this system. As you can see, the parameter name is Louver 1. So let's do the same here as a string node with the same value. Probably not the best parameter name, but you are free to change it, of course, in the panel family and then load it back. For now, I'll just use what we have there. Plug it to here. Don't forget to save the script, and we can now run this. Here we are. Much more interesting facade already. You can see right there, we're getting a lot from just 2 materials. But let's make it even more interesting. If I go to this reference photo again, you can see they have there about 5 or 6 materials. So let me just add these in quickly. Just go back to Manage, Materials there. And this time we simply just duplicate what we have. So this one can be Louver 3. Don't forget, of course, to duplicate the asset, and then you'll be free to change the color. How about this one? That's a bit strong, however. We can take it down to here. Much better now. Duplicate it again. For the fourth material, how about we go for yellow, so it stands out a bit. Okay. And finally, let's just do 5 materials now. So this one will be the last. Louver 5. We can go for something quite dark. Probably this blue there. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 materials to use. Click OK. Save the project. And then we can go back to Dynamo. Copy these 2 nodes there. Make sure they show the new material name. So this one will be Louver 3. And this will be Louver 4. Of course, don't forget Louver 5. So one more copy to do there. And then one more rename to complete. Add all of these 3 new nodes to this list of create. Save it and run it. Oh wow, that turns out quite nicely, does it? One more thing to note though, in here we quite simplified the system a bit. If we check the reference photo again, you can see there for each louver, it actually has 2 colors. For example, this louver unit there, it has blue on this side and maybe red on the other side. We can do the same here as well. If I now select one panel here, go back to edit the panel family, turn on the properties window again. You can see there, these 2 louvers that are of the same type. If I now select this one, go to edit type and duplicate it, it is now panel unit 2. And that means for this material parameter, I can now give it a new parameter here. Let's call this Louver 2. Press OK and OK again. We can now test it out in the family. If I go to materials now, for Louver 1, if I set that to be a class louver, apply this, you can see it doesn't affect the material of Louver 2, and that's what we need. Let's cancel this, however, and load this back into the project. So something's going to change. On this side, you still have the colorful facade, but when you change to the other side, it's all boring and gray again. This is because we need to also now change the color for Louver 2. Having said that, I saw one problem there we need to fix as well, because Louver 2 hasn't got the height parameter corrected. Let's go to here now, and for height, set that to be panel height. Load this one back again to project number 1. And that should get rid of this problem. It should retract the louver unit to be just as high as we need. Yes, it did. Anyway, so now we need to change the material for Louver 2 as well. And here I see yet another error, because I created Louver 2 as a type parameter. Let's change this now to instance. As you can see, certain things in Revit you can only see and fix once you have tried it on. So this is just another case of that. Okay, so now when I select one panel, I can see Louver 2 is there. So what does it mean for Dynamo? If I go to here now, we need to duplicate these 2 nodes. And then for this second set of nodes, let's change the parameter name to Louver 2. For the value, we can still take the values from this list of materials, but of course we don't want to have the same thing again on the other side, because if I now just run the script like that, after saving it of course, you can see now Louver 2 is now getting the material, but it will be just the same thing as the one used for Louver 1, and that's not as good as we can make it. So we can use in here now a second list.shuffle node. and then connect this to here, and then this result to there. Let's save and run, see what happens. Here we go. So all we did there was shuffling this list one more time, just so louver number 2 will not get the same value of material we gave to louver number 1. And now when you see this, that's a truly randomized color pattern. Very pleasing to the eyes, I have to say. Of course, to make it exactly like the reference photo, we need to make this floor edge a bit nicer so it has a custom profile like this, instead of just rectangular like you have there. Anyway, that will be the topic of another lesson. For now, feel free to download this Revit file and this Dynamo script from the video description. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want more like this every single week, make sure to subscribe to this channel now. For now, enjoy using Dynamo, and I'll see you in the next lesson.